right, the other big news of the day, GoFirst today said it's cancelling all flights and all tickets issued from the 3rd or 5th May and have offered a full refund. They've, of course, apologized for the inconvenience, but that's not the main part of the story. The big part of the story is that this airline is hit by a massive financial crunch. It's basically filed for bankruptcy. It's been hauled up by the DGCA, that's the regulator for the aviation industry, asking how it can decide to just suspend flights and what is its action plan. So why has Go done this? Go is saying that it's because a company called Pratt & Whitney, which supplies engines to its aircrafts, has not kept up with its delivery date. And because of that, 50%, that means half of Go's fleet is grounded, so they cannot any longer run the airline. Is this a bigger warning sign for the aviation sector, and will Go fly again? To speak more on this, I'm joined by aviation expert Mark Martin. Mark, will GoFirst be back in the air, or are they done?
I think the most important thing is, this is the same Go Air that has outlived SpiceJet in and out of bankruptcy 9 times. It's outlived a Jet Airways, a Kingfisher, a Costa, and a Paramount. The problem with Jet Airways is that the problem with Go Air was after 2013, when they really expanded their fleet, they chose to focus on the Neo, which turned out to be the biggest disaster for them, because obviously Pratt & Whitney engines kept on breaking. And as a result of those breakages, you basically, what we have today is a Go Air whose hand is tied up behind its back, and you're asking him to perform. It's impossible, especially when nearly more than half your fleet is grounded. Is this the end? Honestly, I'd like to think not, because this is a voluntary step that the airline is taking by approaching IBC and insolvency and bankruptcy. It's almost identical to Chapter 11 bankruptcy code in the US. Now, in history, if an airline goes by itself into IBC or initiates proceedings voluntarily,
right,
it's always been that the airline has emerged stronger with a better investor.
All right. But Mark, the question over here is this really about Pratt & Whitney not giving its engines on time, or is it about the promoters wanting to exit? And what does this mean for flyers?
Perfectly summed up, Tamanna. Go Air, let's not forget, not long ago in 2019, we're planning an IPO. The airline was doing extremely well. They were in a good financial position. They rebranded themselves. They restructured themselves. The Pratt & Whitney engine, because of, basically it's poor metrology. The metal technology used is extremely poor, and that's what started to break and started to have micro fragments come into the engine oil. That is a manufacturer. He's liable, and that's because of his negligence and poor quality of manufacturing. And you're absolutely right. It's not just Go Air. It is Indigo. Even Indigo has about 50 aircraft grounded. But why it doesn't impact Indigo as much as it does a Go Air is because Indigo has got 200 plus aircraft, out of which their exposure on the Neo is just about 40% of the total fleet size. So Indigo still has the current engine option with the older engines, which is what is really making them money. Whereas if you come over to Go Air side, 90% of their fleet is the Neo. So that grounding is going to obviously hit you very hard on the revenue side. Your income is going to be slammed, and your expenditure is going to go absolutely crazy. So this issue with Pratt & Whitney has happened with, especially with this engine, has happened with Indigo, as we know. Go Air, and let's hope Go Air doesn't become doesn't fold up or go under. It's been going on with Wizz Air, with AirAsia, and quite a few airlines in Southeast Asia as well. So all focus now shifts to the government, because if Go Air goes under, Tamanna, we're looking at price of air tickets going sky high. We're talking about 59 aircraft leaving our register. We're talking about nearly 7,000 people without jobs. And it's not that because this closes down and other airlines can take on the capacity. They can't, because their fleet hasn't grown as well. So it's not like the competition has 200 aircraft free lying at their disposal that they could deploy immediately.
Right.
So So this is very, very critical that now
it's
high time.
critical. It's critical because you already have one airline that's trying to revive itself, Jet, and has been stuck in this NCLT process for years. Let's see if Go takes to the skies again. Thank you so much, Mark, for joining us with your expert analysis. I'm taking a very short break.